Hi everybody, Baruch Hashem. Here we are in Erev Shabbat Kodesh, Parashat Vayishlah. Today we want to talk about a few points that are very relevant to our day and age from the Parashah of the Shavua. This Shiur B'ezrat Hashem will be Lilun Nishmat of those who went Kapara al Kol Am Yisrael in today's terrible terrorist shooting at the entrance of Yerushalayim. B'ezrat Hashem, it should be for there, Ilun Nishmatam, and we'll get back to this at the end of the Shiur, how everything's connected. First of all, we want to talk about how last week's Parashah we were ending up with Esav and Yaakov, but Yaakov goes in and gets the brachot, and Esav comes in and he's very upset. He wants his brachot. And what would we do if we were in Yitzchak Avinu's position? We know that if a father has two sons and he wants them to always, obviously no father wants the children to fight. So what would he do? He would try to make peace between them. He wouldn't even mention anything about Yaakov taking the brachot. He says, come my son, let's have a steak together, let's drink, and I'll give you a bracha. No harm done. He got the bracha, Yaakov got a bracha, you got a bracha, it's all good. But what does Yitzchak do to our surprise? Obviously it teaches a lesson, and Hashem writes this in his Torah. He actually says that he adds salt to injury. He tells Esav that your brother came and took your brachot, and he did it and he deceived you. And all the things that we would think that he would never say in order to get Esav more angry, he says. The question is why? Instead of making shalom, why is he doing this? So one of the answers that our sages say is that we know that there's a halacha that Esav hates Yaakov. That Esav forever and ever hates Yaakov, and that's the way it should be. And that's why Yitzchak understood that's the will of God. Now why is that the will of God? Why should it be that there should be this hatred between Esav and not only Esav, also Ishmael, whose daughter Esav actually ends up marrying? Why should there be such a hatred between us? Why can't we just get along and live together? A happy life. Everybody in peace. No. But the answer is that we learned that Yitzchak Avinu, obviously from Hashem, he understood that in order for us as the Jewish nation to exist until in the days, like we do till today, is to have this nature, this hatred of Esav, between Esav and Yaakov. Because let's think about it. If there was no hatred, and like Bilam, Harashah, it says in the Torah, the words of Hashem that is put down in the prophecy of Bilam, that he says that the Jewish nation are a nation that is supposed to live by itself. Meaning what? Of course, we have to have commerce, what have you, with the world, going and coming. But when it comes to maintaining the Jewish identity and Jewish way of life, we cannot go and marry into the non-Jewish religions. Because if you face it, if you do that, in 2 generations, there will be no Jewish people. And that's why we have so many times this is in the Torah that has such a isur that a Jewish man or a Jewish woman should not marry outside of their religion, or else they wouldn't be a Jewish nation. So in order for that to happen, Hashem made sure that there should be this hatred between us. This is one of the reasons. Of course, there's other reasons also to whenever we're going off the derech, going off the way from the Torah, when we see anti-Semitism in the world, this gets us back on the track. Unfortunately, we don't want it to be this way. But like we saw, and I'm sure a lot of people saw all around the world, a WhatsApp that went out how a Jewish man from Iraqi descent and an Ashkenazi mother who was full of tattoos, and he actually got up and sent a video out that he wants to thank all the anti-Semites out there, how because of the anti-Semitism, until now he thought that he could fit in with the non-Jewish world. At the university, have a non-Jewish girlfriend, have a non-Jewish life. But because of what's going on after October 7th, he understood that the Jewish people can only exist if they are together. So they marry together and they don't stray away from the Torah path. That's one of the main reasons why Yitzchak Avinu lights up Esav. Another reason that continues into this week's Parashah, we see that Yaakov Avinu prays before meeting Esav after 36 years. He says, Hashem, please save me from my brother, my Esav. Now, to the best of my knowledge, Yaakov did not have any other brothers. He had one brother. His name is Esav. What is this double expression of save me from my brother, from myself. Especially that we know that the Torah does not waste any extra words or letters. So of course our sages tell us that Yaakov Avinu is trying to teach us that a Jewish person has two enemies. One is, or even to the non-Jewish world, a person knows who his enemies are, who his friends are. One comes in the form of Esav, which is like the Hamas, or like, the murderers that want to come out and say, I hate you, I'm going to murder you, like we see today, what happened today with the shootings that unfortunately 6 of our brethren have passed away, or from October 7th and all throughout history, like the Nazis and whatever it is. You're Jewish, I don't like you, I want to kill you. That's number one. And number two is, which is a more dangerous enemy, and that is, save me from Achi, the people who come and say, hey, you're my brother, come to my party, I'll come to your party, come to my wedding, I'll come to your wedding, give me your daughter for my son, I'll give you my son for your daughter. Like we see the Shechem and Hamor in this week's Parashah, they come and say, come, let's all intermarry together. We'll have fun, we'll have the whole land in front of us, we do commerce together. And of course, they go and the Torah testifies, they go tell their own people that we're only fooling them, we're only going to marry them in order to get their money. Like we saw all throughout history, how all the Jewish people, especially the reforms and the conservatives, try to get closer and closer to the non-Jewish world, and every time they were sped on, they were set back, and they went through a Holocaust. Like we know, a story that was told, the Holocaust, where a secular man, Jewish, had married a Nazi woman, a woman that was, he didn't know it was a Nazi, but nice, blue-eyed, blonde hair, beautiful woman who she, acted like she liked him, and they had 2 children together, and she's the one who routed him out to the Nazis when she found out that Hitler wants all the Jews. She says, here, come and take my husband, this is the house. And when they took him, and he's standing there with his Jewish brethren who are observant of Torah, all together, all going together. Doesn't matter if you were secular or not secular, they're going into, before waiting to enter the place that they're going to get killed, he starts crying. So they tell him, why are you crying? He's like, I don't understand. I married Christine, and she's across the barbed wire with my children, laughing at me. And she's saying to my kids, look, that's Abba, that's Father. Now I see how I lived all my life such a wrong way that I thought I could get close to them, and there themselves with their 2 hands, they're throwing me into the ovens to get burned. Going back to our point over here, after 36 years, okay, so we get the point that Hashem obviously doesn't want us to intermingle with the non-Jewish world, to marry them and to have you, to get close to them. But what about, so Esav, representing the non-Jewish world who wants to come and try to eradicate the Jewish people, comes and says, you know what? I don't want you to marry me. Let's be the Greeks. Hanukkah is coming out. What do the Greeks say? No problem. You guys have a beautiful temple, beautiful culture, philosophy. Let's share our, cultural values together, what have you, sports, Olympics, the body is focused on the body, the six-pack, not this, too much of the spiritual. That's what Esau comes and says. Come, my brother, here I am. I'm going to walk with you now. I'm going to escort you. Let my children hang out with your children. Let them come to my house, see the videos on the internet that I'm watching, see all the garbage that I'm watching. After all, we're brothers. Our children are cousins. Why not? Yaakov says, get out of here. I don't want your honey, and I don't want your sting. When Hashem says that we should not get together, he means that even for a few seconds. On this note also, we want to talk about when people that are observing Torah, or anybody who has, try to raise their children in the right way. And obviously, we're Am of Gemulut Chasadim. We want to invite people over. When we have people over, we have to make sure that they come to our house. They have to follow the rules of our house. We bring them over for Shabbat. It's great. We have to try to make care of our friends, our families. We're all one nation, but under one conditions. If you're bringing a woman over and you don't tell her to please dress up in a normal manner that a Jewish woman should dress up as, or if they're coming over and showing the kids all this garbage on their phones, then what have you done? You try to do chesed on one hand, but you're destroying all the Torah that your children are learning on the other hand. It doesn't go hand in hand. So a person also should know, especially about the Persians, or the Jewish people in general, we're Rahmani. We have a lot of Rachamim. A lot of times they say, no, but it's not nice. It's not this. But what about your children? What did you think about your children first? What about it's not nice that their Torah and their education is going down the garbage? So of course, like I said, there's a way to do it, how to do it. You come into our house, please follow our rules. We're trying to show you the beauty of Judaism, how beautiful it is to keep Shabbat, what have you. But please dress properly, and don't let my kids see the garbage that you see on your thing. And B'ezrat Hashem, little by little, you could also get rid of that thing and all the garbage that you don't need, and also dress properly. And B'ezrat Hashem, that's the whole point of getting together. But otherwise, it's damaging to the children, and it's just not worth it. Another point we wanted to talk about is how, a lot of Rishaim, or some people who don't want to be observant. I'm not talking about those who are, most of the things that they don't want to, people who don't want to be observant, it's because of ignorance. If they knew the beauty of the Torah and how happy they would be to have a Torah way of life, of course it would come closer. It's because of all the ignorance, all the things that they taught them while they were growing up, so it's harder for them to come closer. But there are people who not only they don't want to come closer, whatever you tell them, they want to be anti, whatever it is. And they carry their evilness all the way to the end. But the same people that they're trying to put down, when they see them, they come back, like we see by Yaakov Avinu. Esau, when he sees him come back after 6 years, he's expecting a poor person with ripped clothes. His wives are, very, they don't look like the person they should be looking like. The children of, very poor, family that he's trying to look down upon. All of a sudden he sees an entourage of servants and limousines and all this richness. What's going on over here? He gets to Yaakov and says, what's going on? Mi ele? I thought you're supposed to be a benchwarmer, or parasite. Where are all these brachot coming from? So Yaakov answers them, what do you mean, you idiot? If you live a life like me, also you will get this. You think these are the reward of the mitzvot that I'm doing? This is like the Rambam says, that Hashem gives us the means in order to do the mitzvot in this world. If Hashem sees us that we want health, we want riches, we want to get married, we want children in order to bring honor to Hashem, He's like, okay, I want to give you all the brachot. This is not the reward. This is just the means in order to get to Olam Haba. So to all our brothers and sisters, if you just come closer and see the beauty of Torah and how HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives everybody, although it might not look like it at first, it's hard, he's not making so much money, he's this and that, but in the long run, of course, in the beginning, all the beginnings are difficult, and it's all a test. But once, B'ezrat Hashem, we see after 20 years, how many grandfathers and grandparents and parents who were anti their kids coming more observant, that have come back after 20 years, kissing their hands and saying, Baruch Hashem, that you stayed religious. Baruch Hashem, you married a Jew. And look at the grandchildren that I have that are honoring me and not spitting in my face. Like the people who go to colleges and come back with all the garbage and throw it back in their parents' face. Unfortunately, like I said, the time is now to make the right decisions so you won't be sorry tomorrow. It's better to cry today than to cry tomorrow. And the final point is that we want to talk about, we see by Rachel Imenu, how we see that this Parashah, she's giving birth to her second son and the last of the 12 tribes, to her son Binyamin, and she's having a hard time giving birth, and before she passes away, she wants to know what's going to be. What's going on with the child? And the midwife says, don't worry, this one is a son also. Now, between you and me, is that what Rachel Imenu really cares about? She's about to pass away. That's exactly what she cares about. She lived all her life, and this goes what we said last week. She lived all her life seeking to bring another Jewish soul to the world. That is her biggest compliment. I'm bringing another boy into the world to go and learn Torah, to go in the ways of Hashem. And if you're going to tell me this is also a son now, she could die happy and go to the next world because she did her job into the world. Unlike the Hamas terrorists, like we saw today, and that's what we wanted to deal with today, that they come, instead of bringing life to the world, they shoot a pregnant woman a woman and her pregnant and the child in her womb, and they killed him. On one hand, the Jews want to bring life into the world, to bring light into the world, and bring Torah into the world, and these monsters come and they take the lives of the Jewish people. And that goes back again to what we said. No matter what we try, Hashem wants us to be a nation that's light to the nations, but in a way not to intermingle with the non-Jews. People who go and marry Christine and bring non-Jewish people to the world. We saw what happened with the story with the Nazi who was laughing at their husband before he goes into the ovens over there in the Holocaust. And we saw also all these people who are not careful when they bring people to their house, that they don't set the rules at the beginning. Please dress this way, or please don't show my kids these things. And unfortunately, they could throw a lot of the Torah that the kids have to the garbage. And also, we saw also when Rishaim, when people are trying to discourage other people. Hey, don't become observant. It's not a good life. It's like a jail, this and that. But then 20 years later, when they see that how their own children are disrespecting them, and they come to the religious brother and say, wow, me Eliyahu, what is this? What is all this? How your kids are respecting you and my kids are spitting on me? It's because of the decisions you made 20 years ago. So please, let's not make the same mistakes, especially to the people who are ready to get married. They have to see what they're getting married for, to marry the right people, to have the right hashkafot, to have the right mindset, Torah said. And B'ezrat Hashem, with that, like we said with Rachel Imenu, that this is the Parashah that she passes away, and she's passed on to the world upstairs, that she's crying over their children. And you know that b'schut her crying, that Hashem is going to have Rav Rachmanos on us. And instead of letting this Hamas terrorists to take lives, Hashem is going to save us from them b'schut of Rachel Imenu. And we're just going to keep adding more life and life, and we should be zocheh במהרה רבינו בחסד ורחמים, תמושך צדקנו במהרה רבינו, אמן. שבת שלום ורח.